Hello students, welcome to Java Programming. Unit 5, Chapter 1, String Handling. And this string handling chapter composed in 6 videos. And this is the last video for this chapter. And these are the topics we are going to discuss today. The two important classes, StringBuffer Class, StringBuider Class. We know that these two special classes specially designed for modifying the strings. And why? Because the string class and string objects are immutable and we cannot modify or change the values of string. And here it allows you to modify when you apply use these two classes. First one, StringBuffer class, and it is a peer class of string that provides and much of functionality of the strings, nothing but it allows you to modify and allows to change the values of string object. And here this string represents pixel length. And we know that once the string object is created and the length of that string is fixed and immutable character sequences. And we know these two things from the from the previous topics from this string class. In contrast, and the opposite to that one, string buffer represents an growable and writable character sequence. Growable means you can change the length of the existing string object. And we can also write something change to the character sequence of the string object. And this string buffer class may have characters and substrings inserted in the middle or append to the end. That is nothing but modification. It allows modification. We can insert any substring at any position of the given string by specifying the index. You can insert this substring and you can append some of the characters, maybe of some length to the existing string at the end of the string object value. And this string buffer class will automatically grow to make room for such additions for these modifications, and often has more characters pre-allocated than are actually needed. So to allow room for growth, that it means a very variable length or a allowable growth to the length of a size of the string that is given existing string object also. And here this string buffer class contains several constructors, and the 4 constructors here: string buffer with parameters and string buffer with integer specifying the size, and you may pass one string as a parameter here, and you can pass some character sequence also, right? So 4 different type of constructors are used to create a string buffer object. So here default constructor, one with no parameters, that is one, no parameters, reserves room for 16 characters without reallocation. That means once it is defined, once the string buffer object is created using this constructor, it reserves space for the object, string object is 16 characters and without reallocation. Okay. And second version accepts an integer argument, this one, size, integer argument that explicitly sets the size of the buffer. The size of the buffer where you are going to read the string value for an object. Here it is string buffer object. And the third version accepts where this third version takes string parameter, string argument that sets the initial contents of the string buffer object and reserves for 16 more characters without reallocation. So when we create an object of string buffer class with initial string value or string content, and that reserves for 16 more additional, with that initial content plus 16 more characters can be allocated. We will see all these things in the program also. Fourth constructor creates an object of this string buffer class that contains character sequence contained in chars and reserves 16 more characters. Add the fourth constructor taking the parameter of this character sequence. Okay, understood the four different constructors for the string buffer class. And these are the methods which supports operations on this string buffer objects. Here length and capacity. The current length of a string buffer object you can find using the length function, and it is also same as like in the string class. And we also have the capacity. That it means why? Because we are reserving 16 locations for organizing the string using the string buffer object. So to know the capacity of that string buffer object, you can find this capacity through this capacity method. And both are the type integer. Why? Because these two methods returns the integer value when we apply it on the string buffer objects. Here it is one simple example. Here we have a string buffer object. String buffer object, and it is initialized with the string, one of the constructor with string value. So this hello is string value is loaded into initialize it to this string buffer plus 16 more additional added, right? The same way here it is buffer of this object contains hello, and you can find length, how much length the st object contains with character count, and you can capacity calculate that it is here. So hello is initially initialized to the buffer object that here it is SB, and length is 5, but capacity is 21. Why? Because if 5 will take an initial content of that string, plus we can allow to 16 more characters without reallocation. The total is 21. Got it? This is the way you can work it. And go and see these program. Okay. Yes, this one. String example 14 class. Inside of main function, I have a string buffer object with the initial string value, and we are displaying that buffer string and as well as finding length and capacity. Remember this class name is string 14. Go to command prompt, java c string 14 dot java. If it is compiled, java cr 14. As it is, first the buffer is hello and length is 5, capacity is 21. 5 plus 16. Got it? Next one. Ensure capacity. Suppose when you want to know the pre-allocated rule for a certain number of characters after a string buffer has been constructed. Once the string buffer object is constructed, you can use this ensure capacity to set the size of that buffer. To set the size of the buffer, pre-allocation rule, right? And before construction of this object, then we can pre-allocate the size using this ensure capacity. This is useful if you know that advance that you will be appending a large number of small strings to a string buffer object. So it is having general form like here it is void ensure capacity, and it takes some integer value and it sets that the size of the buffer going to be organized for this object, that is pre-allocated. Okay, minimum size of the buffer should be like this, right? And another method it is set length. This also reflects the set. Here to set the length of the string within a string buffer object, use this method set length. So it also void type method. It doesn't return, and it takes one integer value that is length. Based on this length variable, it specifies the length of the string within that string buffer object. This value must be non-negative, otherwise it will give error. Right. So when you increase the size of the string, null characters are added to the end. Okay. Coming to these functions here, caret, set caret. And we know this caret function, character at particular index. This is also same as in a similar in string class. It returns the when we pass an index to this method, it returns the character of that index into the from the string class or string object. But it is set character at position given. It is not allowed in string class, but string buffer class is for modifying the content of a string, as it is allowed at particular position when you pass one character, and it takes, if you see this here, these two types of forms for this caret and set caret. So character at function returns character value from the string based on the index given. And also this set char method is a void type, and it takes index and the character to replace or maybe set that character with this given character. And see one this example here. I have a string buffer object with the value hello, and we are displaying that one. And I'm applying this caret function, character at that particular index 1. So we know that hello, 0 index, 1 index, 2 index, 3 index, and 4 index. At index 1, that it is p. It returns that character, right? It returns that character. That's why here it is output p. And whereas I'm invoking this set char at function method on this string buffer object, so I'm giving that index 1 with character I. It set that character. It go to the position index 1 and it sets that value E instead of E with I. So that's why when we display this one, it give output like this. HILL. When we apply again character, what is the character that in the index 1? It gives I. 0 and 1 like that. That is the index. Got it? So these are the useful of these two functions for modification. And go to this is the same program we have taken into this example, string 15. Go to command prompt. It is compile and run it. So hello, it displays character at index 1 is E, and buffer before that HILL. It is set that character E with I. Okay, set caret function here. And when we are calling this, it returns the index 1 character in the given string is I. Got it? Then getCast method of this class. It is used to copy a substring of a string buffer into an array, and use the getChar method to copy the substring of a string buffer into a particular given array. So that it is already seen in the previous string class. Here also the same, it do the same thing. Source start, source end. These two index represents that substring, right? That substring. The substring is returned by this both indexes, and this substring is need to copy into this target array, right? And from this index into this array. So this is the use of this function. So it is copy a substring. Okay. Next one, another function, it is append. So this append method concatenates the string representation of any other type of data to the end of the invoking string buffer object. That is very simple here. It appends at the end to which object, string object you are invoking this method. For that object, it appends something at the end of that string object. So it has several overloaded versions, nothing but you can overload this append method for different types. Here it is string type, integer type, and you can string object type. So all of these different methods of this string buffer class. So here it is one simple example here. I have a string object S, an integer variable A with value 42, and have string buffer object SB, and I'm initializing with this integer variable, so that's something with 40, value 40. Okay, now here string object S is initialized with this, calling this append function along with this toString. So here it is concept SB dot append. What SB contains 40, right? This 40 is append with this first string a equal to first, then append with a variable. A variable contains 42. So then a equal to, then 42, and at last it exclamatory mark, right? And all these are converted into string. So loaded into this string object S, into this object, right? So when it displays, it automatically gives the output like this. It appends everything converted after converting that into string, whatever it may be, a symbol, string, character, or maybe any other primitive built-in type, integer, code, character, whatever it is, right? And go to the execution part, this one here. Yes, it is. We have appended everything here. Go to command prompt. str16 and run this one. It displays a equal to 42 exclamatory mark. All these are appended into a string S. Next one, insert method. So this method inserts a string into another, one string into another, or substring into another string. It is also a overloaded to accept values of all primitive types, integer, character, float, like including object also, right? See here some few forms of this insert method. So insert, it takes first index, where to insert. For string, this given str is insert into that string object, which string object invoke this method, invoked this one, right? In that string object, it inserts this str at this particular index. The same way here also, any string buffer object invoke this method, that string object string value is insert by this character at this index. The same way here also, right? So we'll see some example of this one. So here I have string buffer object SP, initialized with one string value, that is I Java exclamatory mark, right? So here I want to invoke this insert method to insert this one, like with space here. This is one string, substring. Is like to insert into this string object. Why? Because string object is invoking this method, right? So this string object value is something is inserted into this string object SB, that it is like at index 2. So index of this I is 0, the space is 1, and index 2 is starting with this J value, right? So completely at this index, it replaces this like, and like it takes 4 characters, including space, that 5. So total 5 spaces this Java needs to be skipped or move into that 5 additional spaces. So finally the outcome, when we display this one, it displays like this: I like Java with exclamatory mark. So this is the insert reflection And you can also insert character. You can also insert another object of the string buffer. You can, if you would like to insert whatever it is, right? Go to the execution for your, as it is. Yes, the same code here taken. Let's see to compile it, then execute. I like Java. Okay. Then go to program file for small modification for your thing. So can you replace this one at index 3? What happened? Just like to see. Go to command prompt, again compile it. You can run. So if you observe this one, this like is inserted at index 3 after J, right? Got it? I think you got the concept clear. Okay. Next, reverse method. So you can reverse the characters within a string buffer object using this method, and this is the form of this method, and it returns string buffer. Sorry, it's a type of string buffer. This method returns reverse of the object what that string contains by this object, right? So it is small example, string buffer object S, and here it is string buffer with string A, B, C, D, F. So we are displaying before reverse. And after invoking reverse method using this object or on this object, it reverses the content of the string buffer object S. So when display like this A, B, C, D, F, and it is reverse the every character in the string. Go to the execution here. If it is reverse, same code we are taken A, B, C, D, F. Go to command prompt. Here it is string 18. Then compile 18. So A, B, C, D, F. Next one. Delete character at particular index. These two methods. So we can delete characters within a string buffer object by using these methods. So these are the forms. Delete method takes two parameters, starting index, ending index. Based on within this index range, it deletes everything. Okay. And also delete character at. It takes particular location index. Particular character is deleted. Okay. So delete method deletes a sequence of characters. Remember this one. When you are applying delete, you need to give index range, starting index, ending index. In between, the sequence of characters will be deleted. So here it is one example, SB string buffer object with this string value. This is a test. So sb.delete, when you are applying delete method, you need to give index 4 to 7. In between, it deletes everything. And after delete, display that object of string buffer. And after that, delete character at method at index 0. That is the starting character of the string. So after delete this one. So both the check here. Okay. Then go to come to this program. Same. This is the test. We are going to apply delete method for this range and delete it method to delete the first character at 0 index. Command prompt. So string 19, compile, string 19, execute. So after delete method invoked on the buffer class. So this is a is deleted and spaces also deleted for index 4, index 5, index 6, index 7. Total 4 characters has been deleted there, right? Then after applying this delete character at on this first character is deleted, capital T is deleted, and this is the test. The remaining will be displayed. Okay. Next one, a replace method. So you can replace one set of characters with another set of inside this given string object of this buffer class. Okay, this is the form replace method, starting index, ending index, and the string to replace this one. Okay, so here it is one simple example, string buffer object, the same, this is a test, is a string initialized into the string buffer object. Now I have taken indexes 5 to 7, starting index 5, ending index 7, and this is the string, substring need to be replaced in this within this index. So once again, go to check. This is 1, index 1, index 2, index 3, says is index 4, and I is 5, S is 6, and this one is 7. Okay, 5 to 7. So these three characters is replaced by WAS. Got it? 5, 6, 7 indexes. Then after display. So go to the execution to better understanding this one. As it is. The same we have taken string object, a buffer string object, string buffer object, replace method with this range, and this has to be replaced. Command prompt. Compile it. Execute. And after replace, this was a test. Is replaced with was. Okay. Okay. Now substring. So you can obtain a portion of string buffer by using this substring. The same also many type of variations we have already seen this method. Substring from starting index. So here the first form returns the substring that starts at the starting index and runs to the end of the invoking string object. So from this index to end of the string, it returns that as a substring. Okay, that's why this method return type is string. Next one, substring method taking starting index and taking ending index. So in this complete string, you can specify this as a starting index and this one as the ending index, and this substring is returned by this method. Okay. I hope you all understood about all these methods of the string buffer class for modifying the string buffer object. And these are the additional methods of the string buffer. And string buffer, append, code point, before, count, index of method. We know this index of method of the string class. The same way here also some more methods are given. As we already discussed all these methods related to string class objects. So here also the same, but with some modifications. Last index of, and we already see now this because and remaining whatever we method discussed in the string buffer class is somewhat related to a different when compared to string class object. Okay, and coming to string buffer class, so this was introduced from JDK 5 onwards, and it is a recent addition to Java string handling capabilities. And string builder is identical to string buffer class, except for one important difference, right? Remember this one difference. It is not synchronized, which means this is not thread safe. So these two words you can learn from next unit, that is next chapter in this unit, that is multi-threading, multi-thread programming. So there, you know the more difference between this string buffer class and string builder class. So this string builder class is not synchronized. Synchronization means some mutual understanding, coordination among the maybe processor which are running on computer. We will discuss everything about the synchronization and thread point concept in the next chapter too. And based on that point, this string builder class is not a synchronized and that is not a thread safe. But string buffer class is a synchronized class and it also thread safe. But here the advantage of the string builder class is faster performance compared with string buffer, right? So however, in which it is a mutable string, it also allows you to modify the string once the string builder object is created. Okay, so this mutable string will be accessed by multiple threads in your programs. When soon you are going to create Java threads, and we can run and accept some strings during the programming, and we will see those. But no external synchronization here. Why? Because this is not a synchronized basic class. Okay, you must use string buffer rather than string builder. You can also use the string builder for the methods, whatever we discussed for string buffer, same applicable to string builder. Okay, thank you.